Alright, I just want to let you guys know if you're going to be buying shit from China, like from all that like warehouse trend and shit, watch out because there's going to be, I'm sorry, I'm sick. There's going to be a higher percentage your shit's going to get seized by US Customs, which means they're basically going to stop it at a border and throw that shit away or whatever. So I'd watch out for that. This is more if you're buying like actual fake shit, like if you're buying like Nike, Louis Vuitton, any fake shit. If they see that shit and it has like, trust me, there's gonna be a fat ass China label on your shit, and you're gonna tell this shit is from China. So they probably like highlight those packages, search them, and if it's maybe like unbranded China shit, then maybe you're good. But if it has any branding or anything, you're cooked. They're gonna take that shit, and your whole thing is gone, and your money is cooked. And unless you like pay for like an insurance for that shit, you're not gonna do it. So I'm gonna let y'all guys know that. Me personally, just buy it here, low key. It's really not worth all the process. The shipping is going to be very expensive. It's going to take a long time, and you have a chance that your shit's going to get taken. And especially that everyone's doing this shit now, it just means that they're going to hire their security and customs. So stay safe, bro. Go thrifting. Don't go thrifting, actually. I don't want y'all taking my drip. So yeah, watch out. Stay safe.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a topic that has been shaking up fashion circles, TikTok trends and even international trade chatter. Americans reacting to China quietly exposing where luxury brands really get their goods. From viral videos uncovering the real manufacturers behind big names like Lululemon and Louis Vuitton, to influencers like Simbax and Luna sourcing China, pulling back the curtain on how you can get nearly identical quality without the high sky price tags. The internet is buzzing. But here's the twist. These videos are coming from a country where TikTok, as we know it, doesn't even exist. So how are these exposes suddenly popping up on everyone's FYP? Is it good timing, or is this the fallout from a deeper shift in China trade and counterfeit regulations? In this video, we are breaking down what is really going on, why Americans are both fascinated and cautious, how this impacts the luxury industry, and what it means for your next online purchase. Grab a snack because you are about to get the real tea on the global fashion game. Let's get into it.
Now seeing the China vendor list exposing specifically where these luxury brands are manufacturing their items before they have them sent off to European countries. And this has gotten everyone, especially a lot of the Americans, excited because now, instead of having to shop at some of these upper end luxury brands, they can essentially skip the middleman and still get similar, if not the exact same quality for a fraction of the price. However, before you make your first order, there's something that you need to note, as I am educating myself on some of these Chinese vendors and how they operate. Vendors that operate within China are no different, meaning that typically vendors tend to ship out in mass bulk. Meaning if you're someone that's just trying to get a new outfit or someone that's trying to, get some staples for their closet, this might not be the way to go, because typically vendors operate in wholesale. They try to send as much as possible because they operate for brands. I also want to be reminding people to check the authenticity as well, because I can imagine how easy it is to be able to jump on the bandwagon right now. So instead, what I would recommend, instead of solely relying on these China vendors, is to download apps like the Yellow app that essentially operates like DHGate, where you will be able to buy singular items in not so much of a bulk. This is probably the best news that we had this year. So you've likely now seen the China.
You know the tariff war is getting bad because ain't no TikTok in China. So how are they all landing on our FYP? Now I know you've been seeing this guy all over your FYP. Well, he goes by the name of Sin Bags, and he's basically been exposing luxury brands, their costs, and how you can get these bags directly. Albeit you won't get the label, but you'll still get the quality material. And you've also probably been seeing this woman here. Well, she goes by the name of Luna, sourcing China, and she lets you know the distributors for some of your favorite clothing brands, including Lululemon. Now, people have been trying to figure out, why are these people coming across FYP? Well, here's the thing. We've gone through a tariff war with the United States and China China has started to reduce their regulations on a lot of things, which includes counterfeiting. If you guys didn't know, China is an authoritarian regime, and so they have strict guidelines when it comes to counterfeiting, because prior to all the tariff wars, they used to have a relationship with the US, and China used to honor patents as well as trademarks for a lot of these luxury brands. Until the trade war happened, and then they just said, F it. Now, before the trade war, we were still able to get those dupes from the gate, if you know what I will. But that's because most of those distributors hadn't got caught yet. Because again, prior, China had this like, if we don't see it, it's not occurring type of policy. But if they did see it, then they would be taken down. And that's why a lot of those gate Alibaba, AliExpress type of companies would often go down, and it'd be really hard to find those distributors again because they would get caught. And then they would have to come back and rebrand as a new name, even though they still had the same material. But now that those regulations have been dropped, you're going to start seeing a lot more of these distributors basically just selling directly to you. And what makes the story even more funny is that TikTok's not in China, y'all. It's not there. It's under a different subsidiary name, but it's not TikTok. And those apps don't cross. So the fact that you're seeing these videos makes it even more hilarious.
I am so sick and tired of the internet being so completely delusional. So as an owner of both real and fake bags, I'm here to tell you that your bags are not real. I don't know where the lore of bags being real came from, and I know these warehouses are definitely not helping the whole story, but as someone who owns a lot of fakes, a lot of reals, I can tell you that there's a pretty stark difference between them. I used to purchase bags on DHGate when I was young, impressionable, wanted the feel of a luxury bag without having the money for a luxury bag. Now, is mostly filled with very basic level fake bags. However, here and there you may run into super fake, which is the bag that I'm holding right here. I believe super fake is the term that has been coined on the internet for any fake that is really, really close to a real, both in design and in materials. And I'm pretty sure most of the warehouses that are doing reveals on TikTok are super fake warehouses that previously wouldn't have a direct consumer relationship before. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of these warehouses that are posting on TikTok are definitely playing with fire because raids are known to happen, and this really disrupts production and makes it a lot difficult to get these bags to consumers. Now, I'm not going to go into how I communicate with these sellers and warehouses because frankly some things are meant to be gatekept in order to protect communities. If you're super interested, you can do the research, you can probably figure it out on your own just like I did at one point. Now, just comparing these two bags, the super fake is very, very close to the real one, but it doesn't make this real. You know what I mean? This warehouse and this warehouse are not the same thing. And I promise you the warehouses for real designer goods in no way would allow employees to expose them on the internet. For reference, I paid close to $5,000 for this bag and around $200 to $300 for this bag. And for anyone who thinks that $200 to $300 for a super fake is crazy, that kind of gives you an idea in comparison to DHGate. Those bags are most often not real brass, not real gold plated, not real leather. I'm not going to lie, I know that designers take a huge profit off of consumers, that these bags don't cost nearly as much to make as they are sold for at retail. I also know that the quality of a lot of these designer bags have extremely gone downhill to the point where you're considering that your bag is really no better or no worse than the real version. That doesn't make it real, but it does make it so that the real and the fake aren't so different in comparison. But at the end of the day, if you wanted craftsmanship and an honest, fair pricing, you can go to a bunch of small businesses that sell bags that are reasonably priced for the cost of production. But no, we pay for fakes because we want the feel of a luxury bag without paying the luxury price. And listen, I am someone who doesn't really gravitate towards luxury bags anymore because of the downhill in quality. And if you ask me why I buy luxury bags, I have a million reasons for it. And why I buy fakes, I also have a million reasons for that. And that's okay. That's okay to want luxury at a reduced price point. At the end of the day, that kind of is what consumerism is. It is a problem, but it is the reality. And that's okay. That's okay to have a DA. It's okay to have a fake. That's okay. No one is judging you. Genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, no one is judging you. However, it doesn't make sense to keep running with this narrative that bags are real and that they're just made in the same warehouses and they're discarded and sent to DHGate, because that's just not plausible. That's not true, especially given all the raids that happen in a lot of these warehouses. It's literally not possible.
I told y'all yesterday that the United States will not win in a trade war against China. Hey y'all, I'm Tabitha. If you come across this video and are not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I will be happy to have you. If you've come across my video out there on social media, and aren't following me on any of my social media pages, please hit that follow button. I will be happy to have you, unless you MAGA. I don't do MAGA. But like I said, the United States will not win this trade war against China. I got me a few good keys on yesterday watching some of the China videos. Now, a lot of people are saying it's all coordinated. It's a coordinated attack because you can't get TikTok in China. So how are all of these China distributors putting out these videos? I don't think you can't get TikTok in China. I think you can get TikTok in China. I think the TikTok in China is totally different from our TikTok. I think the TikTok in China, the content looks more like what's over on Red Note. Yeah, because I remember seeing videos coming from creators over in China, but it's nothing like the videos that we're exposed to here in the United States. But yeah, China is clowning the United States real bad. But this one right here, this one's my favorite.
They rob you blind and you thank them for it. That's a tragedy. That's a scam. That's why I'm saying this right now. Americans, you don't need a tariff. You need a revolution. For decades, your government and oligarchs ship your job to China. Not for diplomacy, not for peace, but to exploit cheap laborers. And in the process, they hollowed out your middle class, crushed your working class, and told you to be proud while they sold your future for profit. And yes, China made money, but we used it to build roads, lift millions out of poverty, fund healthcare, raise living standard. We reinvested in our people. My family also benefited from it. What did your oligarchs do? They bought yachts, private jets, and mansions with golf course driveways. They manipulate the market, dodge tax, and poured billions into endless wars. And you get stagnated wages, crippling healthcare cost, cheap dopamine, debt, and flagged wave property made in China while they pick your pocket. For 40 years, both China and the United States benefit from the trade, the manufacturing, but only one of us use that wealth to build. This isn't China's fault. This is yours. You let this happen. You let the oligarchs feed you lies while they made you fat, poor, and addicted. Now they blame China for mess they made. I don't think so. I don't think you need another tariff. You need to wake up. You need to take your country back. I think you need.
He ended the video by saying, I think you need a revolution. Listen, white America, he's talking to you. For decades, they've used your racism. They've used your hate towards black people, Latino people, LGBTQIA plus people, women. They've used your racism and your hate for other marginalized communities to pick your pockets. For years, for decades, they used your hate and your racism, your desire to want to oppress other groups so that you can feel supreme. Yeah, they use that to build themselves wealth. Yeah, they told you that you were better than all the other marginalized communities. Donald Trump is doing that now. He's talking bad about marginalized communities while selling you a dream, and he is making a whole lot of money, and you aren't. The millionaires and billionaires that he surrounded himself with, they're making all sorts of money. And you aren't. And they got to be in these positions because they used your hate and your racism to get them into those positions. And now they are doing nothing for you. What they are doing benefits them, and they're using your pen.
Alright, let's talk about what is really happening right now with China exposing the behind the scenes operations of luxury brands and why Americans are reacting the way they are. First off, the timing of all this is not a coincidence. For years, the West, especially the United States, has relied on a certain level of luxury mystical. Big brands have built their identity around exclusivity, premium pricing, and the illusion of European craftsmanship. But now the veil is being lifted. Viral TikTok creators are calling out the real supply chains, and it turns out a large portion of these European luxury goods are being manufactured in, you guessed it, China. You people are shocked, but they are also intrigued because it challenges everything we thought we knew about luxury fashion. If the same materials, factories, and even laborers are being used to produce a $2,000 handbag and a $100 dupe, what exactly are we paying for? That is where creators like Simbas and Luna come in. They are not just showing us alternatives, they are providing vendor lists, direct sources, and factory insights. And Americans are eating it up because we are in a time where inflation is sky high. People are being smarter about how they spend their money, and the idea of getting the same thing for a fraction of the cost feels like a financial win. But here's the complexities. While it might feel empowering to cut out the middleman, it's also entering some risky territory. A lot of these vendors operate in bulk, meaning you can't just order a single piece like you could from Amazon. You are often expected to buy multiple units, which isn't always realistic for the everyday buyer. That is one reason apps like Yellow and DHGate are starting to blow up again, because they are offering more accessible, low-valued alternative for individual shoppers. Then there is the issue of counterfeits. Costumes in the US have been cracking down hard on imported goods, especially anything with brand labels. So yes, you might find a great vendor, but if that package gets flagged at the border and it contains branded knockoffs, like there is a good chance it gets seized, and you lose both the product and your money. Unless you have international shipping insurance, which, let's be honest, most people don't bother with, is a risky game. And yet, the surge of transparency has created a cultural moment. For the first time, we are seeing how intercoordinated global fashion truly is. The same factory manufacturing for top-tier brands are now realizing they can bypass the big names and go direct to consumers. It's a quite revolution that's been years in the making, but the trade war between the US and China may have accelerated it. Before the trade war, China had more stringent policy honoring international trademarks and patents, but when diplomatic relations sourced, so did the incentive to uphold those protections. It became a bit of a do. We will do us attitude that loosens the grip on enforcement, and all of a sudden, these factories had more rooms to operate freely and more access to international buyers hungry for affordable options. Now, let's also talk about the irony of it all. TikTok, the platform where all this is going viral, isn't even available in China. It's banned. Instead, they use a diplomatic version called Douyi. So when you see all these China-based vendors, influencers, and suppliers popping up on your For You page, it makes you wonder, why now? That is where it gets geopolitical. Some analysts believe this is all part of a larger shift. China loses control over its vendor base may be a way of hitting back at Western economic pressure by exposing the hypocrisy in global manufacturing and offering consumers an alternative. They are forcing the West to reckon with the fact that luxury pricing is often just branding, not better quality. And you can see it in the way people are reacting. Some are excited, say they feel like they have cracked the code, like they are finally in on the secret. Others more skeptical, they don't want to risk costume seizures or poor quality. But everyone is talking about it, and that alone says a lot. Even beyond fashion, this exposes how much of our economy relies on smoke and mirrors. We are conditioned to associate quality with branding, but the illusion is breaking down. And while it's empowering for consumers to have more options, it also presents a challenge for regulators, ethnical buyers, and even small businesses trying to compete. So where does that leave us? If you are thinking about ordering from one of these Chinese vendors, do your research. Make sure you understand shipping timelines, risks, and whether the vendor deals in wholesale or retail qualities. Avoid anything with obvious branding unless you are okay with the legal gray area. Apps like Yellow can help bridge the gap for people who don't want to buy in bulk. But also, take this moment to rethink how you define value. Is it the logo, the price tag, or the quality and functionality of the item itself? Because moving forward, this isn't just about fashion, it's about consumer awareness, economic transparency, and power of information in digital age. And whether you love it or hate it, the game has officially changed. That is all for today's videos. If you found this insightful, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives like this and let me know in the comments. Are you team luxury label or team direct from the factory? I will catch you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.